In today's Leeds news, Summerville going nowhere, Wilfred Gnonto's agent sparks more move concern, youth call-ups and Leeds interested in Barnsley attacker. Morning folks, Jay here on Tuesday the 7th of November with your Leeds United news. Hope we're all having a really good week so far. We will crack on, won't waste any time, we'll get straight into this and we'll start off with some good news before we get into some concerning news. We'll start off with rumours and news around Creed Summerville. Over the past 2 weeks, there has been multiple stories and a lot of speculation about Creed Summerville's future at Leeds United. Most of that has been sparked by media in Holland, as well as Fabrizio Romano on Twitter, who seems to be consistently coming out with stories about Creed straight after Leeds United matches. Now, though, according to Dean Jones, who was speaking with Give Me Sport, he insists Leeds have absolutely zero interest in letting Creed Summerville move from Leeds in January. Jones says that Leeds are delighted with how the situation with Summerville turned out, this situation basically being a decision to make sure he wasn't sold in the summer and turning down bids from Burnley late in the day of over £20 million for the player. They're delighted with how he's been performing and they're delighted with the role that he's playing in the team so far this season. Jones did, however, say and warn against potential lower half Premier League clubs who, in his words, will be crying out for a player of Creed Summerville's quality and goal involvements as well. He says the Leeds will do everything in their power to make sure that Creed Summerville stays in January, and they have absolutely no interest at all in letting the winger move on in January. There are no clauses in Creed Summerville's contracts as far as I'm aware. He hasn't signed an up-to-date deal. He's probably not a huge money with Leeds. Leeds could probably do the smart thing here and give him a new improved contract either in January or at the end of the season, depending on where we finish up in the table, I suppose. I think Creed will probably be watching that as well. Speaking about Creed, there's also one of his best mates is Wilfred Gnonto, and the situation regarding him continues to pop up, and this time around it seems to be coming from a lot more credible sources. Last week we heard that Gnonto had instructed his agent to find him a new club as he wanted to move away from Leeds United and wasn't happy with his role within Leeds. Currently, Gnonto has only just come back from being out injured and has to work his way in. He did start the game against Stoke and wasn't particularly involved in that game despite being on the pitch. Now, however, the other stuff just seemed like it was really, really easy links to make. You know, he tried to force a move away in the summer, coming into another transfer window. It's an obvious story to kind of go with, probably going to do the same. However, now, Gnonto's agent, Claudio Vigorelli, has been speaking with Calcio Mercato's TV play via Sports Witness. Now, the thing about Claudio Vigorelli is he is the same agent who instructed Willie Gnonto to go on strike earlier this year and disrupted quite a few games for Leeds United. He's also the agent of Nicolo Zaniolo at Aston Villa, and he instructed that player to go on strike last year when he was at AS Roma to try and force a move away from that club. That's the agent, that's his MO, and now, speaking to Calcio Mercato's TV play, Vigorelli said the following: "We have to talk to Leeds and we'll see, but I think there will be options. The Premier League experience has been fantastic for him and I think he wants to continue in that direction. But right now, we are focused on the national team." The last thing Leeds will want coming into January is another situation with Wilfred Gnonto where he's trying to force a move away. The fact that Vigorelli is now already talking in the media about a move in January and that there would be options for the player to move in January isn't great news for Leeds. I don't mean that in a case of if we lose Willie Gnonto, we don't get promoted or we don't challenge for promotion. I think there's been enough quality this year and we've seen enough to see that Willie Gnonto has to fight to get his place in this Leeds United side. He's still a very young kid. They seem to be focused on the national side as well. He wants to get back into the national side for the Euros. That's not a guarantee. He's got plenty of time with that as well. Anyway, and he was part of the Italian national side when he was playing in a much lesser league before he moved to Leeds. So that really doesn't stack up and hold weight. And he has been called up to the Italian national side while playing for Leeds United in the Championship. So being in the Premier League clearly doesn't mean guaranteed Italian national side selection. He doesn't need to be in there to be in the team at all. He can do it from the Championship. But what Leeds won't want to see the situation develop any further. This will rumble on, I'm sure, over the next couple of weeks as well. For Leeds' situation, and my take on this is Leeds need to make a decision rapidly on this. If it's the case that it pops up again in January, either Leeds remove him from the squad again and say you're not going anywhere, or Leeds just let him go, take the money and move on. And that's going to be an interesting one to keep an eye on. But that looks like it's going to be the exit story of January. Leeds had enough disruption this summer with Gnonto and his agent, and they won't want that to come into January. giving the run Leeds will need to go on the second half of the season to try and get promoted. So it's not a great one. A lot of it was rumour. I put an awful lot of stuff down over the last couple of weeks that it's just paper talk. It's an easy, obvious story. But now the fact that the agent himself is speaking to agencies and speaking to media in Italy, that's not perfect. It's not great news. But we'll have to wait and see. Personally, I would rather see Leeds just move on from this completely. Just let him go. Move on because of the hassle. That's my take on it. I know he's a good player. Put a sell-on clause or a first option to buy the player in his contract when you sell him. So we'll have to wait and see, but it's not a great situation that is again popping its head up. Moving on, let's talk about some youth call-ups. And Leo Hjelde has been called up for the Norway under-21 side for their matches against the Republic of Ireland and Turkey. Also, Jeremiah Mullen has been called up by Scotland's under-21 side for their upcoming games against Belgium and Hungary. Best of luck to both players who are having very good seasons at under-21 level, and great to see them do well for their national sides as well. And then finally today, the last story is Leeds' interest in Barnsley attacker, and this is coming from Team Talk, so you know my story with the Team Talk. It's such a hit and miss site. So this is a news site. I cover everything here before somebody jumps into comments and tell me it's not a story. We cover rumour as well as news stories. So this does come from Team Talk. Take it with a pinch of salt. That's all I would do. But they are basically saying that Leeds are amongst a host of clubs who are interested in Barnsley attacker Fabio Jalo. Brighton, Everton and Fulham are listed as the Premier League clubs that are interested. Sunderland in the Championship and Sporting Lisbon outside of the UK are all said to be keeping tabs on the players. Jalo joined Barnsley from Benfica in the summer of 2022 and has gone on to make 15 senior appearances for the club despite only being 17 years of age. He's got 3 goals so far in total for Barnsley. He scored 2 of them in the EFL Trophy and he scored last week in the FA Cup. An absolute banger as well, by the way, in the EFL Cup last week. So for a very young player, 17 years of age, I think you'll be looking at this as a Leeds under-21 potential signing. I think that's what Leeds will be looking at, and as the other Premier League clubs will be looking too. But it's great that he's got some first-team experience as well. Anyway, Jalo is set to be out of contract at the end of this season and has made indications that he will want a move away from the club and won't be signing an extension to his deal. Leeds will want to keep an eye on these kind of players. Leeds will be potentially going through an under-21 rebuild over the next 18 months with some of the older players ageing out of the under-21 system and into senior football, which means a decision will need to be made on whether they're signed permanently by Leeds on senior contracts or they leave the club on loan or go out on permanent moves, as well as players like Darko JB, Lewis Bate. What Leeds, Mateo Joseph, do Leeds send them out on loan in the next 12 months or do they keep them in the club and what they do with them? So there will be gaps popping up in that under-21 side over the next 18 months as the players get older and as the more senior players within that look to make their impressions on the first team by going out on loan and getting some minutes. So that'll be an interesting one to keep an eye on as well.